Flint has a cultural center, the Vehicle City. Not a single public high school left in this town. The downfall of Flint started way before the water crisis. Parking for residents only, eh? Well, the only resident left here is this cat. Flint, Michigan, one of the most troubled cities in the United States. Let's go check it out. Oh yes, how pretty. I start the video at the Lincoln Wildlife Preserve. Oops, I mean Lincoln Park, sorry. It just kind of looked like one there for a second. Well, anyway, this will be my 8th video in my Flint series, and we'll be exploring the south side of Flint for this one. Essentially everything south of I-69 and west of 475 will be in this video. I'll even show you the Bishop International Airport, just in case you ever decide if you want to fly into Flint. Wait, what's that? Did I hear you say that you're never going to be flying into Flint? Well, come on, you don't know that. Maybe you'll get hooked onto the Flint Firebirds and you'll be craving to see a game at the Dort Financial Center. Never say never, people. Well, here we are on the far south side of Flint, close to the city limit line. This area of town isn't near as blown out as places that we've seen on the north and east sides, even though there's still quite a bit of abandonment along the main thoroughfares. It's just that the neighborhoods on this part of town look better, generally speaking. And just south of here is an isolated part of Flint Township. As you can see here, the city limits of Flint go out of rhythm from its otherwise generally square shape, and the reason for that is because Flint had successfully annexed the land for the Bishop International Airport along with the land for the GM Flint Assembly plant, which we will see later in this video. And it's not only the last remaining assembly plant in Flint, but it's also the last remaining assembly plant in all of Genesee County. During its peak, Flint had 4 assembly plants in town, and they were all pretty huge. Combined, General Motors employed as many as 80,000 people in the city of Flint alone. Today, GM employs only 7,000 in all of Genesee County. And even crazier is the fact that General Motors is still the top employer in Genesee County. We just passed by a couple of abandoned homes on the right, but otherwise, as you can see, this neighborhood is mostly full of occupied homes, unlike a lot of other residential areas of Flint that we've seen. Now we make a right turn onto Fenton Road and we're heading south, and just like every other main thoroughfare in Flint, Fenton Road is full of abandoned retail buildings. It's like there's no small businesses anywhere in this city. The most thriving retail area in all of Flint outside of downtown might as well be Dort Highway from what I've seen. And you'll see this throughout my videos on the townships and cities that surround Flint, as there are several pretty large retail areas right outside of the Flint city limits in the surrounding townships. So here is yet another oddity to the layout of the Flint city limits. To give this talking point some context, we just passed Hemphill Road while heading south on Fenton Road, and Hemphill Road serves as the border for Flint and its southern neighbors, except for right here, as to the left is the South Flint Plaza Shopping Center, and it belongs to the city of Flint. Now I'm assuming that the city won the battle to annex it when it was built back in the day. However, today, it's almost completely abandoned, and it's not worth fighting for. The faded out letters show that this used to be a Value City furniture store, and it has been empty since 2008. Further on down, you have a storage facility, and in between, it's mostly nothing. An MLive article from November of 2022 mentions that developers are flirting with the idea to turn South Flint Plaza into condos for contractors, and the city has already rezoned the property to residential, so we'll see if that ever happens. Anyway, the shopping center was developed back in 1961. Well, I say let's get out of here and check out some other things. Haha, okay. Well, soon we're about to see yet another abandoned Flint school. This time it'll be McKinley Junior High School. This one was built in the 1930s before closing in 2012, and it's been sitting here vacant for just over a decade now. You know, it's incredible. Something that prior generations probably never saw coming. You know, Flint has about 50 public schools that have closed since the 1980s. Many of them have been demolished, and many of them still stand vacant, but the school closings in Flint have always come in waves based off what I've been able to gather, with the majority of them happening while Flint was under emergency financial management. And whenever cities in Michigan have reached a breaking point when it comes to managing their finances, the state of Michigan will assign them an emergency manager to take things over, and in Flint, one of the most common budget-saving moves during those times were to close schools, since enrollment was way down across the board, and the city couldn't justify continuing to fund all of these schools. A common tactic that the city would try to do is they would try to sell the schools to individuals or businesses, and nobody really bought them, and the ones who have bought them haven't done anything with these properties. So most of them either sit abandoned or it's an open grass field where the school used to stand. Another move made by emergency managers in Flint was switching the water to the Flint River, which started the water crisis, but I go over all of that in detail throughout other videos in my Flint series, so make sure to go check out those videos in my Flint playlist if you want to know more. My Flint water crisis video never received the love from the algorithm as my other Flint videos have, so it would mean a lot to me if you could watch that video if you're interested in hearing more about the water crisis. Well, now we're back on Fenton Road, and we're about to see what the rest of this thoroughfare looks like. Spoiler alert, as it ain't good. In case you haven't been following along in my Flint series, perhaps this is the first video that you've seen, Flint had a peak population of just under 200,000 residents back in 1960. The city began declining in the 1970s, and today it has only 81,000 people left. That's good for a loss of 60% of its peak population. Now that alone will tell you that Flint will have tons of abandonment before even seeing what it looks like. Genesee County hasn't seen a population decline near as extreme on the flip side, as in the 1980 census, the county hit a peak of 450,000 residents, and it makes sense that it saw its first decline the following decade, however, as there were massive layoffs within General Motors during that decade. The county saw a slight gain by the 2000 census count before seeing declines in the following two censuses, and I think that it's safe to say that you can blame the sharp decline in residents since 2010 for the entire county on the water crisis. And with that said, it's tough to see things turning around anytime soon for this entire region. In order for areas to grow these days, you need jobs. And that's always been the case, not just these days, but the economy is in the beginning stages of a recession, and it's tough to see new jobs coming to Flint, especially when you consider the fact that Genesee County has a low percentage of adults 25 and older with a bachelor's degree or higher. You know, when companies look to expand, they look for a few things, including that. And if there's not a large talent pool of college graduates, then hopes to see job growth can look pretty bleak. However, one thing that you can always count on in Flint is that there's always going to be a party store or a liquor lotto store within a stone's throw. You know you're in a high crime area when there's razor wire fences around a used car sales lot. To the left is the International Academy of Flint. U.S. News states that 93% of the students are economically disadvantaged, and that's sad. The Academy enrolls students from grades K through 12, and the athletic teams go by the Phoenix. Describe Flint in one picture without saying any words. Right here. To the right is the massive GM Flint Assembly plant. The plant was built in 1947, and it's the longest running assembly plant in all of North America. Additionally, the plant is the only remaining assembly plant in not only Flint, but in all of Genesee County. Some interesting facts, as in 1953 the first ever Corvettes were built at this plant, and there were 300 of them to be exact. Flint prides itself in being the birthplace of the American sports car. Every year in August, there's a car show held in downtown called Back to the Bricks that celebrates that, and I actually visited that event last August. To see a video on that event, make sure to check out my Flint playlist. This assembly plant, however, has over 5 million square feet of space, and it sits on 159 acres. Today, the plant builds the Chevrolet Silverado heavy-duty models and the GMC Sierra heavy-duty and crew cab models, while other trims of Silverado and Sierra are built elsewhere. The plant employs over 5,000 workers, making up the majority of GM's employment of 7,000 within all of Genesee County, and General Motors continues to be the largest employer in Genesee County to this day, even though the company once employed as many as 80,000 in Flint alone during its peak. And now it's off to the airport, the Bishop International Airport at that, for the last stop in this video. Not much else to see out this way, so I'll speed up the video if you don't mind. I'm sure some of you will complain about it in the comments section, but that's what I'm gonna do, okay? So get over it. Thanks, I appreciate it. And oh yes, of course, looking all nice and pretty is the road leading up towards the Bishop International Airport from the freeway, and the airport itself looks pretty nice too. The airport is named after Arthur Giles Bishop, who, well, what do you know, was a board member for General Motors. Is there not a stinking thing in this town not named after someone who's affiliated with GM? Yeah, no, probably not. Well, anyway, the land that the airport sits on was originally owned by Sir Arthur Giles Bishop, who donated 220 acres of his land to the city back in 1928, so that's why it's named after him. The airport saw only 238,000 passengers total for the year 2021. Pre-COVID, the airport saw 301,000 passengers in 2019, which was down from 360,000 in 2018. It's still a pretty decent looking airport though, and a look here shows that Bishop today is served by Allegiant, United, and American Airlines, and you can get direct flights to 13 destinations including Vegas, Phoenix, Chi-Town, and multiple places in Florida, so that's not bad. 13 direct flights. I don't know why, but these smaller airports for these medium-sized cities are always fascinating to me. Is it just me? Yeah? Just me? Okay, just me. That's alright. I mean, to me, it's kind of crazy that you have direct flights from Flint to Vegas, Orlando, Tampa, Sarasota, Fort Lauderdale. I don't know. It's crazy. And then you can fly to Chicago, which has a bunch of connecting flights, so I don't know. It's crazy. More expensive to fly out of Flint because there's not that many planes that come in, probably, but at least it's Allegiant Air, so can't be too expensive, right? Did I say it was crazy? Oh, I did? Oh, okay. All right. Well, it is crazy, all right? And some of you probably don't think it's all that crazy, and some of you who live in Flint might be offended by me saying it's crazy because everybody's offended by everything these days. And look, it's not a diss, me saying that it's crazy, all right? I'm not making fun of it. I actually think it's pretty cool because I think this airport looks pretty clean. And I've been to a couple of small airports recently, and I'm just amazed by the convenience of these smaller airports. You go from a busy airport like Atlanta, and then you connect to a smaller airport for a mid-sized market nearby, and you go from being at an airport that's overly crowded to being at an airport with almost nobody, and it's actually kind of nice. I mean, I'm a travel nerd, obviously, so I have opinions on everywhere that I go, everything that I see, from rental cars to airports to hotels to places that I eat at to what places look like to the economies of places. Obviously, I have a lot of opinions, and airports are not free from those opinions. I actually think that this airport looks pretty nice, is all I'm saying. Now, the worst airports that I've been to, I have a tie going on right now. The worst airports by far and away that I've been to includes the Denver airport and the Honolulu airport. They're just kind of a mess. One is in severe need of being updated, that being the Honolulu airport. The other, it's just a maze to try to get around. Denver, it looks nice, it's just, you can't get around in it. And here in Flint, you know, it's kind of impossible to have that problem. Alright, well lastly, to the left is Kogel Meats, which is headquartered right here. Maybe you've bought some of their bologna from your grocery store, or maybe you haven't. The company was started by Albert Kogel in 1916, who moved to Flint to start his own business. The Kogel Meat Company officially began in the 1930s, and the company's main offices have been here near the airport since 1972. Alright, well with that said, I do end the video here, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, as doing all of those things helps these videos destroy the evil monster that is the YouTube algorithm. Also make sure to hit that notification bell and select yes, so that you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy checking out some of the featured playlists on this channel. Videos with amazing insights on other places like what you saw here can be found in my Flint playlist, my American Hoods playlist, or in my Michigan playlist. Last but not least, if you can't get enough of me on here, you can always go follow me on my other social media accounts, and those links are below. We'll see you next time. Peace!